Hello, hello. This is Keisha Howard from CoachKeisha.com, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with an amazing parenting coach. Her name is Kathryn Jones, and she is the Peaceful Parenting Coach. And we all know that whenever you're raising teens, and especially raising teen girls, there are times whenever you need some peaceful parenting. So I'm excited to interview and to chat with Miss Kathryn. Kathryn, welcome to Coach Keisha TV. And please take a moment to introduce yourself to everyone and tell us where you're calling in from and why you're so passionate about peaceful parenting.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm calling in from Adelaide, South Australia, the other side of the globe, the world down under. And I'm really passionate about this way of parenting because, well, it's the only program I ever came across that really takes care of the parents' emotional well-being as well as the children's. And that's really key. Especially when you're parenting teenagers, all kids, but I really find that when you're parenting teenagers, being able to find that peaceful place to parent inside is so critical to being able to make really good judgment and have really good communication with them. So yes, that's why I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah, because it's like you have to take care of yourself in order to be able to be a good parent for your kiddos, right?
Yes. Yeah. So kids really find it hard when we're angry or upset or frustrated or even feeling like we've lost control, because for them, they're looking for us to be their rock, to be that, pillar for them. Mm-hmm. So they can sense in us when we don't have control and we don't know what to do with the situation. And for children, they pick up on that, and it's scary for them, even as teenagers. Mm-hmm. So for us to be able to be peaceful and in charge when we're parenting our children actually gives them confidence and helps them a lot as well.
Yeah, because they see you being confident and peaceful, and then that in turn it infuses them with that confidence as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Especially for teenagers, because it's a really tricky time in life, negotiating, who they are and what the world really means, and wanting to break free from us a bit and get their independence, but still really needing us there, but not wanting us to know that they really still need us.
Yeah.
So it's a really tricky time for parents and kids at that age.
Yeah. So do you have any tips or advice that you can give parents who maybe have never heard of peaceful parenting, or a parent who might be kind of frustrated with their teen right now? What kinds of tips and advice do you have for those parents out there?
Okay, so first of all, especially if we've got to the point that we're frustrated with our child, it's really important we find someone to talk to release that frustration away from our child, because when we release that frustration at our child, it's breaking down the relationship between us and our child, and it's making the communication really difficult. It's making it very hard to build a connection. When they're teenagers, it's much harder to build that connection with them and to feel really connected to them. So if we have feelings, my biggest advice is to have somebody who you feel close to release those feelings with, rather than at your child. Unfortunately, too often, because they press our buttons so much, it comes out at them, and then that's just making it even harder. It's much harder.
Yeah. And you mentioned communication. So do you have any advice for parents who find it difficult to communicate to their teen? I know, from the teen's perspective, a lot of the teens have a hard time communicating with their parents, and they just kind of, there's this clashing bond, this clashing relationship, because they're having a hard time communicating with each other. So what are some tips for parents on peaceful communication?
My first tip might come as a surprise, but my first tip is to stop talking and listen. Often feel like we need to be advising them, we need to be telling them, and we don't stop and actually listen. And I think we've reached an era where people don't listen very well anyway.
Yeah.
But especially with teenagers. Teenagers have a lot of important things to tell us, but they don't get to the important stuff until they've got through the other stuff first, and they feel that it's safe to go there and start getting to the important stuff. So, for example, with my 18-year-old, I've had to listen to hours and hours and hours of him going on about cars before he'd really start opening up and telling me some of the stuff that's really going on for him and what he's struggling with and what he needs help with. But he gets there if I can just stop talking and listen. So that's my first key point, is let's stop talking and just listen to them, because people aren't listening to teenagers. It's really sad, but society, it really doesn't acknowledge them as being the wonderful human beings that they are, and they need us to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so listen more than you speak and acknowledge them, Most human beings want to be acknowledged, and especially teenagers, because they're in this confusing stage of their life. So, yeah, my grandmother always said you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen more than you speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful skill when you know how to really stop and listen to someone, anyone of any age, actually. It makes so much difference in the relationship and builds really strong connection. And that's what we want to try and do with our teenagers.
Awesome. Do you have any other tips or advice for parents as far as peaceful parenting?
So often when we're doing the listening, they're going to say things that challenge us. And the other thing to do is do our best not to react, to just allow that information to sink in first, because there's several things can be going on. Firstly, they can be testing the waters to see if you're going to react, to see if it's safe to keep going. And if you react, of course, then you obviously stop that process happening. Secondly, sometimes they're just trying to get your attention. And so if you can just stay calm through that, then you will get to the opportunity of really listening to their thinking and to discover that actually they've got good thinking under there.
Yeah.
But they were just testing you first to see if it's safe to go there and really show you how they think about the situation. So when we struggle with hearing that stuff, when we find our emotions coming up, and so we're finding it hard to stay calm, that's when we need to, when we're not with our teenager, spend some time working through that stuff ourselves so that we can be in that place for them when they come to us, because they are going to make mistakes. Their prefrontal cortex, their thinking part of the brain, isn't fully developed until they're in their early 20s. So and even as adults, we make dumb decisions sometimes, and we do silly things sometimes. So how can we expect our teenagers to always get it right? But what we would love for them is when they get it wrong to come to us, not to go to someone else who might really give them the wrong advice. And the best way to do that is to just not overreact, or just to stay really calm even when they come to you and tell you that they've just done something really stupid. Because right there and then they need you. And the fact that they're coming to you is something really awesome.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that is one thing that a lot of girls tell me, and they tell me that they don't go to their parents because they're afraid that their parents will overreact, or that they'll use whatever they're telling them against them. And so you're actually telling the parents to do the opposite. You're telling them to, number one, listen, and then stay calm and actually be empathetic, because nobody's perfect. And the fact that your teen is actually even coming to you is a big sign there that they want your acceptance, and they want to be able to talk to you about whatever it is going on in their life. So I think that that's just huge right there, because that's a barrier that a lot of families face. And if more parents knew that, just stay calm and just listen, then more teens might start to open up more about the challenges that they're facing in their life.
One of the interesting things with human mind is that if someone is giving us really good attention, that our own minds are able to solve our own problems. And if we're giving really good attention to our child when they've come to us with a problem, potentially by the end, they will have actually resolved it themselves, and we'll be able to see how powerful their mind is and how wonderful they are at actually thinking through the problem. But they really just needed us to be there with them while they went through that process. And we may not have to advise them at all. And we may walk away going, oh, wow, I've got such a brilliant kid. But most parents miss the opportunity to see that because of the reaction that's happening in them. And then they say something or do something that breaks that connection in that critical moment.
Yeah, that's a part of the coaching piece. So instead of immediately trying to fix it, it's like coach your child so that they can fix it themselves and learn some lessons from it along the way.
Well, one day they're going to be adults and out there on their own, and we want to be sure that they've got excellent thinking and the ability to work through life's challenges, because life is just full of challenges. And that's the best way we can help them with that, is to help them think freely through their problems. The problem is if they go elsewhere, especially amongst their peers, they'll get all this advice and they'll get people telling them, oh, you should do this, you should do that. It's not giving their mind the opportunity to explore the solution themselves. And that's what they need.
Yeah, develop those critical thinking skills, which they need to start developing that way before middle school, because middle school is whenever they're faced with a bunch of peer pressures and tons of tough challenges. So if we can help them develop those critical thinking skills at an earlier age, they'll even be better off their teen years.
Yes, well, that's what we teach. We call the tools that we teach in our parenting course all listening tools. Even when it's about setting limits, it's still about listening. So it's all about listening.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this is great, Kathryn. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I think that you provided a lot of helpful tips for parents, especially parents who might be a little frustrated with their teen right now. Maybe they can watch this video and just know just to listen, stay calm, and to help them better that relationship with their teens. So,
and remember one thing, that their teenager is an awesome human being, because we sometimes forget that because we get so caught up. We can just keep reminding ourselves how awesome they are.
Yeah, it's like focus on the positive traits of everyone, you know. They might be frustrating, they might not do something you ask them to do, they might be making poor decisions, but try to focus on the positive things that they're doing, because teens want to hear that as well. You know, I've had a lot of teen girls tell me, I only hear from my parents when I'm doing something wrong, or I only hear from my mom when I need to clean my room, or when I need to babysit, or when my grades need to be better. So the teens want to hear more of the positive stuff anyway. So yeah, if we all just focus on the positive, it seems like that will benefit the relationships.
Much so, yes.
Yeah. Well, how can people get in touch with you? Give us your website and any other ways that people can follow you.
So on Facebook, I'm the Peaceful Parenting Coach. So you can find me on there. That's where I post a lot of my tips and tricks along the way. I have the peacefulparentingsecrets.com, which is a way to opt in for my free online training, which I do regularly, so people can learn a little bit more about how to connect with children of all ages. And my main website is KathrynLJones.com.
Awesome. So KathrynLJones.com. Well, thank you so much, Kathryn. I think that these were some awesome tips that you provided, and I just appreciate you for taking the time to chat with me today. This has been Keisha Howard from CoachKeisha.com, and if you want to find out more information about me or Kathryn, please go to my website, www.coachkeisha.com. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. Bye.
Bye.